Hey everyone, it is Danny and welcome to this update video. I hope you're all having a really wonderful day thus far. And so of course in this video we'll be taking a look at the latest that is happening across the Caribbean in terms of weather conditions, and a portion of this video is going to be about what could happen in the region as we head through this upcoming hurricane season based on what is expected. But we'll also be focused on an earthquake that happened yesterday just in the vicinity of Jamaica. And so before I go into details, please do subscribe if you haven't yet done so and tap the notification bell so that you never miss an important update. Okay, so first things first, we're starting out with that earthquake that took place yesterday. So it happened just offshore of Jamaica, and it took place around 4:35 p.m. So that was in the afternoon hours. And of course, the sections of Jamaica that would have felt the strongest would be the southeastern parishes, such as St. Thomas, St. Andrew, Kingston. So those areas likely felt it the strongest. However, other areas felt it because I live in St. James, which is one of the northwestern parishes, and I actually felt it. I didn't really feel a shaking, but I do remember when I was sitting and I was doing a bit of studying and I just felt this force. Like I felt myself go forward and back in my chair, and I thought it was just me until my sister said that she just felt an earthquake. So it wasn't a very strong one, but it was still very noticeable for some persons. Some persons didn't feel it. You can let me know in the comments if you live in Jamaica if you felt that earthquake. But there were other earthquakes that happened, and even this morning there was a magnitude 5.1 between Guadeloupe and Dominica, and a magnitude 5.2 to the northeast of Barbuda. So guys, please remember to take the necessary precautions. And so of course this is just a couple of steps that you can take in order to protect yourself and your loved ones as best as possible in the event of an actual earthquake. So of course, make a plan, secure your home, have an emergency kit, drop, cover, and hold on. That is in the event of the actual earthquake. Check for hazards afterwards, and of course stay connected. So you can pause this video to read these a bit more in detail, but those are some steps that you can take in order to protect yourself as best as possible, because in the event of natural disasters, life is always a priority, guys. And so that earthquake yesterday actually took place along the Enriquillo Plant Garden Fault Zone, which is pretty active, and it has been responsible for some of the strongest earthquakes in the Caribbean, such as that magnitude 7.5 that struck in 1692, almost destroying Port Royal, as well as the 2010 magnitude 7 earthquake that happens near Port-au-Prince in Haiti. So that is what happened, and of course please stay safe. And now let's go ahead and move on to what is happening above the surface of the earth now in terms of the weather. So looking across the region, there isn't too much happening right now. We see a little bit of overcast conditions moving across Hispaniola. Nothing much for some other areas. We see a lot of convective activity taking place within Colombia right now. But for the rest of the region, we can see that it's pretty much clear. Beautiful sunshine this morning. Those dry conditions are still very much prevalent, which are helping to inhibit any major convective activity from developing. Now, in terms of the rainfall that is expected between now and tomorrow, so for the next 24 hours. So we're beginning with Euro, and we can see here that as this map gets more colorful, that is increasing rainfall totals that are expected. And so we can see that the model is showing quite a bit of rainfall activity for parts of the northwestern Caribbean and other parts of the greater Antilles. But for the most part, for most areas, there isn't going to be much rainfall activity. And of course, that rainfall potential will be more likely as we head to the afternoon hours. As we go on to Icon is showing a bit less rainfall in the northwestern Caribbean, but still some areas likely receiving some of those afternoon showers. And we see that the eastern Caribbean is going to be pretty much dry, maybe just a brief shower for some areas. Same story for parts of mainland Central America. But for the northern part of South America, particularly for Colombia, we can see that a lot of rainfall activity is going to be taking place as a result of all the convection within the area. And then as we move on to the GFS model here, we can see that it is showing quite a bit of rainfall activity for most of the Greater Antilles. Not seeing too much happening in the vicinity of the Cayman Islands and going over into the east. And again, same story for the mainland Central American territories, not much. But looking down into Colombia, we see that the model is expecting quite a bit of rainfall. So generally, nothing major is anticipated for the Caribbean as we're going to be progressing into the next 24 hours. But of course, that rainfall potential for some areas is still very much there. And now I want to go ahead and talk about something in terms of the upcoming hurricane season. So going on to this temperature anomaly map here now, generally the North Atlantic is above average in terms of sea surface temperatures, but looking at the Caribbean, we can see that it's mainly for the northern part of the basin, the north central and northwestern Caribbean, where we see some of those above average temperatures indicated by those warmer colors. That pale yellow shade going to the oranges and reds indicate above normal temperatures. Meanwhile, the white means things are pretty much normal, and the blues indicate that temperatures are below normal. And of course, the darker that blue shade gets, the cooler the temperature is below normal. So normal to below average sea surface temperatures are across the Caribbean, and one of the key ingredients in tropical cyclone development is warm waters. Now, generally the Caribbean is warm because it's the tropics, which is warm all year round. However, when we have those sea surface temperatures exceeding the threshold for what is required for tropical cyclone development, which is around 26 or 26.5 degrees Celsius, that favors a more conducive environment for us to see development and intensification. However, if we have temperatures that are cooler than what is typical, and as well as that wind shear that is expected, that increase in wind shear, that is really going to be helping to prevent any major activity and suppress major storms from developing in the region. That's not to say that there won't be any. However, that potential could decrease. But of course, during the peak of the hurricane season, August going to September and even October, we tend to see the most activity in the region. So only time will tell what is going to eventually happen. But if we have that this continuous trend of seeing these below average sea surface temperatures, that could mean that activity in the Caribbean this year could be a lot less. And even if we have substantial storms, they could be very weak. But it takes a lot less than even a tropical storm to do some damage, because tropical waves or depressions are enough to cause a massive flooding, guys. So this doesn't make the dangers during the hurricane season negligible, because it is still important that we take all the necessary precautions and stay safe. So that is pretty much it for now. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments, and you can also share your thoughts there. And of course, remember to always be weatherwise.